Hello, Legion. This is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. This is the look ahead for April 6th, 2017. Let's talk about what's coming soon. For those of you who haven't seen these before, these are basically channel updates. I post them every even-numbered month and give you the opportunity to send in some questions in advance. The February look ahead never happened, and I need to talk about why. But first, as I always do before we get to that, and it's going to be a minute before I get to that, but as I always do, let me stop and say hello and welcome to the channel, all of you new subscribers. This is a very exciting time given Stellaris Utopia's release today and all of the new people jam-packing our proverbial auditorium to watch the Roma Galactica series and the other channel content. I just want to say, personally, from me to you, for those of you who have just joined the channel over the past couple of weeks and months, hi, hello, welcome, glad you're here. I'm really grateful that you decided to subscribe, and I hope to have you along for the ride from now on. Welcome again, and thank you for being here. If you are completely new and you think you might want to stick around for a while, check out the channel and community mini-series. The link is on your screen right now. It's a two-part series for now. The first video covers everything I've got set up on social media like Reddit, Twitter, Steam, and more, so you should definitely check that out if you want to hang out with other followers of my content. And the second video covers Patreon. If you like what I do and you want to help me do the best I can by supporting the channel more directly, I made my Patreon account and the Patreon video just for you and the people like you that asked me about what more they could do to help the channel. Though that might sound like a lot to some of you, just remember that $1 a month makes a tremendous difference. To find out how and why so little can do so much for the channel, as well as just to find out more information, check out the Patreon video. Again, the link is on your screen right now. So let's get started. Here's what I like to call the table of timestamps. I'm going to open with just a quick acknowledgement of some weirdness over the past few months, which we'll talk about more at the end of the video, and then I'll very quickly move on to the channel schedule and talk about my plans for each time slot from where things currently stand, and then I'll dive in and answer your questions from February, and I'm really excited about that, so make sure you stick around for at least that much. And as usual, I will end with a state of the channel discussion where I talk about how things are right now, not specifically about the schedule, but the channel itself and the formatting of the channel and the time slots of the channel and kind of how I'm running things and how things are going, etc. And then finally, I do want to end with a special personal note. And one thing I want to be really clear on, not to be too heavy, but the personal note at the end is going to talk about some stuff, not necessarily like very personal to me. I'm going to talk about some personal stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's also going to talk about some things from a more general standpoint. For instance, just the idea of hidden struggles and things that we do or do not do when we are struggling with something and not really sharing it with people. So it's going to be kind of a heavy topic, and I want to tell you that now so that maybe if you don't want heavy, you get to that point in the video after I go over the state of the channel and you can just stop there. Okay, and I just want to make sure you knew about that. So anyway, just to start out with an acknowledgement. This is technically the February look ahead. Sorry about that. It's gonna be very, very clear by the end of this video why the February look ahead didn't happen. And I don't think anyone's been frustrated with me to begin with. It does kind of suck in a way because I did a February AMA and I asked for questions, and I'm still going to answer those questions in this video. And some of you may not even know that I still plan on answering those questions, but I'm definitely going to. So I didn't do an April AMA. That's what I wanted to acknowledge. I'm answering questions from February. And then in June, we'll do a normal June AMA and a June look ahead. And it'll be very, very standard, which was the plan for February. But something absolutely horrific happened. Not to me, but to someone I know. And it deeply affected me. It affected my girlfriend. It affected the people around me that I work with. Yeah, the February look ahead didn't happen. So again, more on that at the end, but that's kind of what I wanted to acknowledge up front. This is technically the February look ahead, but we're still going to talk about stuff as though it's April, because it is in fact April. So let's go ahead and take a look now at the channel schedule so you can get a bit of a sense for what's going on and what I have in the pipeline. This is the current week. Obviously, we have Alexander going in the 12 p.m. Grand Strategy slot, and we have, for Queen and Country, going every other day. We'll talk about the every other day type stuff and the state of the channel discussion a little bit later on. In the 3 p.m. slot, and then 6 p.m. we had Song of the Stars, but then I got my hands on Utopia, thanks to the folks at Paradox for that, and I've been playing Roma Galactica in the 6 p.m. slot since. So I kind of swapped time slots here, very similarly to what I did for for Queen and Country when Alexander started. This previous week, you know, Alexander originally started as a 3 p.m. series, and I was like, it could probably go in the 12 p.m. slot. So anyway, that's this week. And then next week is going to be an interesting week because, well, actually next week is going to be a pretty straightforward week. This is it. I haven't recorded it yet, obviously. I've recorded Alexander 13, but nothing else has been recorded for this week just yet. But then the week after that is when it does get interesting because I haven't decided yet what I want to do after Alexander 20. And feel free to leave some comments. Let me know what you would like to see. I am leaning towards a Cyrus series, a Persia series, because not as many people have done Persia series. I think by that point, because this will be April 17th when the Persia series starts, by that point, it could very well be that more people have started Persia series, but I feel like that would be appropriate since there haven't been any other new civs. And that would be interesting. Or maybe I'll do the Alexander scenario. I don't know if I want to just keep doing Alexander in that time slot, though. And by the way, I should say this for those of you who are newer to the channel. You're thinking, oh God, what's happening to Alexander? Is it going away? No. Just to clarify, again, channel veterans, you've heard me say this a bajillion times, and I'm sorry, but the new people, we need to make sure the new people are caught up. Every 20 days in each time slot, I alternate the series that's playing, just so that you don't have, especially when there's two really long series going in each time slot, you don't have just those two series going for like 3 or 4 months at a time because they're both really long, because that's when the channel gets stagnant. And when people who really don't want to watch those series, that's when they leave. So what I do is every 20 episodes, which is a good, nice chunk of time, right? That's almost 3 weeks. You get to enjoy a series daily. I change up the content and I switch to something else. I either do a new series or I bring back an old one. So Alexander will be back after I take a 20-day break for something else. And it's not going to be a break. There'll be something else, of course, in the 12 p.m. slot. But you know what I mean at this point. I think I've explained it. And so, of course, the same thing will happen to Roma Galactica the following Sunday as well. I don't know what I'm going to do after that either. But I have some thoughts on that. So both of these series are going so well. I mean, the Alexander series is doing well. But Roma Galactica, holy mother of God, it is so good to have all of you here watching that series. Again, welcome to the many of you who have just subscribed to the channel because you're watching this series. Last time I did a look ahead, I was saying the same thing to viewers of Polish Winter and to viewers of Trilarian Trickery. But Roma Galactica is very quickly trending towards being the series that people have come to my channel to watch, which is always fantastic when that happens, no matter how big your YouTube channel is. Whenever you have a good hit series that does better than anything you've done before, no matter where you are in your YouTube journey, it's always a great feeling. So again, welcome to all of you. And I'm thrilled with how well Roma Galactica is going. I think that given, just to keep talking about the 6 p.m. slot for a second, I think that given how well Stellaris is doing at present with the Utopia content, people are genuinely excited about Utopia. Utopia has re-energized the fan base of science fiction 4X games in general. People are looking back to Stellaris thinking, oh, okay, this game wasn't necessarily exactly what I wanted at launch. And I'm not saying everyone said that, but some people did. But now they're looking at it saying, oh, wow, there's a lot more empire management stuff and some new features that sound pretty cool. Maybe it's time to look back into it. As often happens with the first major expansion for games, right? The same thing's going to happen when the first Civ 6 expansion gets announced. So I think it's a very, very good time to be playing Stellaris on the channel. There's a very good chance that after Roma Galactica ends its first 20 episodes, I might do another Stellaris. I might do another Master of Orion, because for some reason people are always interested in more Master of Orion, no matter how many series I play of that game. Or I may actually, something I'm genuinely interested in doing with the 6 p.m. slot. You know, I've always said that the 6 p.m. slot is survival, science fiction, and simulation, right? It's that third S. I've done lots of science fiction, and I've done lots of survival. I haven't done as much simulation. I think the most simmy kind of title that I've played has been Planet Base. And I mean, that's kind of a survival game. I mean, yes, it's a sim. It's a base builder. So it's definitely got one foot in both camps. And I would like to bring to the 6 p.m. slot City Skylines, which is a city building game. It is a simulation through and through. There's no survival elements except maybe when the disasters kick in, which just got added. There is a new expansion for that coming out soon called Mass Transit. So depending on timing, I haven't checked the release date of Mass Transit. So depending on timing, that might work well to have a City Skyline series going in the channel. So we might do that after the first 20 episodes of Roma Galactica. But in general, you can just look for me to be bringing more simulation stuff to the 6 p.m. slot, because I just want to bring more of that to the channel. I feel like I have underrepresented one of the major genres that I've always wanted to play. And then in my channel intro, I say that I play that, but I haven't done that much yet. So I would like to do more there, and that fits in the 6 p.m. slot. Now, as for the noon slot, again, Alexander is going right now, and we'll probably do, I would imagine, after Alexander is done, we'll probably do Cyrus. Or perhaps we may even return to Lord of the Scots in Crusader Kings 2. That's something that I mentioned in the December look ahead that I wanted to do. And it's, well, like I said, February was kind of nuts. And then we had lots of good Civ content coming out as well. And I've been very content to stay focused on Civ. But by no means do I see the 12 p.m. slot as a civilization time slot. I want to bring Crusader Kings back at some point. I want to bring Total War back at some point. The historical Total War, the next one that they're working on, they are working on it. There's a separate team working on the historical Total War, separate from Warhammer 2. And I'm just still, I haven't been bitten by the Warhammer bug at all. So I am looking forward to whatever they put out next. But I might go back to Rome 2 or Attila. The channel started with Rome 2 Total War, and I would love to go back. And there's still a part of me that wants to do a Byzantium playthrough in Crusader Kings 2. But I think before I do that, I should maybe finish Lord of the Scots to kind of get my feet wet a little bit, because frankly, I'm a little rusty. I haven't played Crusader Kings in a while, and I would want to make sure that I was ready for that, because there's new DLC, there's new mechanics. I need to learn the new stuff. So I might see if there's a fresher tutorial series out there for me to watch. They can help me get caught up on some of that stuff. But yeah, that's just some thoughts, just some word vomit on what I might do with the 12 p.m. slot. But still, I think you can very, very safely expect the 12 p.m. slot to be dominated by Civ throughout the year, because I'm enjoying playing Civilization content. My Civilization content is generally, I think, tracking pretty well. I think especially when I can time it well with the release of new Civilizations. I think people come in, they want to watch the new series, they're eager, the series rank well in search, and it's been going well, so why not continue, playing Civ when people want to see it, and I want to play it. So those are my thoughts there. And then, of course, we have the wildcard slots. Those are not dedicated slots. That's when I have extra stuff going. You might have noticed that I have kind of taken to doing every other day in those slots, and we'll talk about that more in the State of the Channel portion of the video. But that is that's what I'm thinking for that. So anyway, again, after Alexander, who knows what we'll do? And then after Roma Galactica 20, probably some simulation content. But if I don't do that now, I may even do another new Stellaris series to alternate with Roma Galactica. So we would have 20 days of Roma Galactica followed by 20 days of a new Stellaris series, and then back to Roma Galactica for 21 through 40, right? So I think that'd be pretty cool too if we decided not to do any simulation stuff. But I would just love to bring that final S to that time slot. So that's currently what I'm thinking schedule-wise. So with that being covered, it is time, finally, for me to answer your questions. And I've looked at the questions. I know in general what the questions are, but I want you to know I have not written down, well, actually I haven't written down anything, which is probably bad. But I wanted this to come from me. I wanted it to be me reading your question and then answering it off the cuff, honestly, in the moment, while I'm recording. So that's exactly what's going to happen. And if it goes well, that's what I'm going to do going forward. So the first question that I want to answer, I'm not going to do these in any particular order, comes from Nicolama. So in reference to the Stellaris 1.5 Banks update, I was wondering if you saw the Utopia expansion that is to accompany its release, and if you did, what are your thoughts on it, and how do you think it will affect your playstyle? Well, honestly, I don't need to talk about this too much, do I? Because we're playing Utopia on the channel right now. You asked this question back in February, so obviously some time has passed. But I do want to say, just to repeat it for anyone who hasn't watched the beginning of Roma Galactica yet, I think Utopia is fantastic. I would have said that at the time that you asked the original question, I think the expansion is really, really shaping up well. I want to withhold, since I actually have a press copy of the game, I want to withhold any like review type of thoughts, like any numerical scores or any detailed commentary on it, of course, but I am very excited about it. I think it's a great addition to the game. I am an empire builder type of player, so when it comes to playstyle, it's right up my alley. It's the kind of expansion that I want, because when I play a strategy game, yes, I want to conquer, but even more than I want to conquer, I want to build my empire, and then I also want to manage my empire, and I want a game that'll simulate that for me. Stellaris is the main reason I don't enjoy Sins of a Solar Empire as much as I used to. When the channel was young, I actually mentioned in some of the early look-ahead videos that I wanted maybe to play Sins of a Solar Empire because it's one of my favorite 4X games of all time, and it would fit the channel's bill as far as, you know, games that tell stories and really big, strategic, epic narratives. And ever since Stellaris came out, man, there's just so much detail in that simulation that it's hard to look back, you know? But not to say I won't play Sins of the Solar Empire, because they just released an awesome new update, and that's a whole other can of worms, right? But yeah, I am very much excited for Utopia, and also some of the changes they made in addition to the empire building stuff. Just the fact that global food got added, I've talked about this in the series, is huge for my playstyle. So yeah, I think they've done a number of things that are going to make it better suited to me. So the next question is from Spatula 007. Have you tried Distant Worlds Universe? Certainly not as polished as Stellaris or Master of Orion, but I recall some absolutely insane levels of microgalactic management and constant, ooh, this sounds interesting, and constant focus on retrofitting, though you can automate large portions of the game if you want. It's kind of insane, but it would be neat to see your take on this. And no, I have not. I haven't tried Distant Worlds Universe. I've seen it multiple times. If I'm not mistaken, Distant Worlds Universe is one of those top-down style strategy games, right? I have not been able, I've tried a few, I haven't tried this one, maybe I should, but I have not been able, whenever I've played a game like that, to get into it. I really like a little bit more 3D and just a little bit more graphical intensity. Not even Stars and Shadow, which came out recently and was critically acclaimed, really managed to hold my attention. It's just a personal preference on my part. I don't mean to sound like a snob. I know these are fantastic games. I'm just talking about what holds my attention. So I could very much come around. I could play Stars and Shadow. I could play Distant Worlds Universe on the channel in the future. And I might love it. You might love it. But I have to play content that I enjoy playing, or it's much less likely that you're going to enjoy watching. So I just haven't really been able to get into. Get into Distant Worlds Universe type of games, but I haven't actually tried that one. So to answer your question, no, and maybe I should check it out, right? Then you asked also, what about Xcom 2? Which was kind of a follow-up question. Xcom 2 is, I have a love-hate relationship with Xcom. I love the game, but the random number generator is ruthless in that game, and I think that's part of the appeal for a lot of people, right? But sometimes the difficulty and the lack of control you have over your fate sometimes really gets to me, and you guys know how invested I get in the story side of games. You know, when XCOM is the kind of game that's designed to make you feel for the characters that you lose, and it's just a little bit too brutal for me, to be completely honest. But that's not to say I don't enjoy it. Like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with XCOM 2. I have pulled all-nighters playing XCOM 2. The game is great, and I do want to give Long War 2 kind of a fair shake when I have time. Again, we're going to talk at the end of the video about why I've been so damn busy. But yeah, XCOM 2 is not something that I'm considering for the channel at the moment, just because I know that when things go badly, I do have a tendency to get disenchanted pretty quickly. And I don't think I'm the only one. And I mean, I know not everyone feels that way, and some people are going to be like, oh, Hadrian. But hey, I'm being honest. That's kind of where I am with XCOM 2. And in general, you said you'd love to hear about some games that you maybe tried, that I maybe tried or started or wanted to do but didn't have the time or passion. So yeah, we'll talk about more of those. I think I've mentioned a few already, but we'll talk about more of those as we go through here. So Centurion of Rome asks, Hadrian, what's your favorite sport and sport team? College football, Georgia Bulldogs. Although I have to say I am a bit of an atypical football fan. I don't want anyone picturing me like going out tailgating and wearing something silly on my head and and screaming in the stands. I'm not that kind of football fan, and I have no problem admitting it. I'm a bit of a fair weather fan. I don't have a problem admitting that either, especially with the Georgia Bulldogs right now, because our head coach of many, many years was let go in a big controversy, and we just had our first full season with a new head coach. It didn't go too well, but I was not in that camp that wanted to see him let go. So I am, like I said, a bit of a fair weather fan, especially right now, because I'm just not feeling it. I got into the Bulldogs when there's a quarterback named Aaron Murray playing for us as a junior, and he had a fantastic season, and his senior season was looking very promising, and I wanted to see it. So I watched that season, and that's when I became a fan. But hopefully we'll pull things around, and hopefully the new coach will get a good thing going, and I can come back around and enjoy watching again. But that's my favorite sport when I do watch. That's my favorite sport to watch. More so than the NFL, because I think the players are young. It's a little bit more raw. There's not as much like insane talent on the field because just people haven't been at it for as long. So I kind of like to see the flaws and the imperfections a little bit more. So Michael C asks, will CK2 make a soon-ish comeback? I think I talked about that in the schedule portion of the video, but yes, I would like to bring it back. And soon-ish is the word, and I realize you asked this question in February. Here it is, April. I'm still saying soon-ish. Here's my thinking. I have to balance what I play on the channel between two different factors, primarily. There's more than just two, but on the one hand, you have what I want to play. Period. Just what do I feel like playing? What am I excited to play? What gets me up in the morning to sit down and record a series of episodes for a given week's time slots, right? On the other hand, there's what do people want to see? And when I say people, I'm not just talking about you guys and channel subscribers. I'm talking about potential subscribers. Now, Crusader Kings 2 is a very popular game, especially in my channel's niche because of the storytelling aspect. So I am never going to say that people don't want to see more Crusader Kings 2, because that's just not true. Some of my favorite subscribers on this channel, one of whom I just heard from today, it would have been yesterday for you guys when you're hearing this, but one of my favorite subscribers just commented for the first time in a while. And I originally picked that subscriber up when I was playing Crusader Kings 2. So really some of my favorite people here, not to play favorites, but some of the people that have really contributed positively to the channel have come in from Crusader Kings 2. So I would never forsake that particular intellectual property, and I would like to bring it back as soon as I can. It's just a matter of time and place, and when I really feel like I'm ready to play it again, and when I feel like there's an opportunity. Maybe if a CK2 expansion comes out and I can time something well. You know, I know one just came out, Monks and Mystics, but you know, so did a lot of new Civ 6 content. So it's just a matter of really finding a good time and place. Grim Reaper asks, will you give a try at The Evil Within on your channel? Probably not. I don't think it's a good genre fit, to be completely honest with you, Grim. I think that survival horror is a little bit outside of the realm of what I envision playing on the channel when I say survival. So I'm thinking more in terms of The Long Dark, Subnautica, The Wild 8, games like that that are focused on just raw survival, right? So honestly, no. Sorry if that's a disappointment. Now, I've been reading questions from YouTube. Let me jump in and ask one from the Steam group just to mix things up a little bit. Conteus on Steam asks, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, is there any possibility of doing a subscriber type game with loyal subscribers to you in a chance for us to join a game with you, or possibly doing a co-op video with other people? Now, I do co-op videos. I've done co-op videos with Mal, and I hope to do more in the future, not just with Mal, but with other YouTubers. So that definitely is a possibility. I probably would do something like that with other YouTubers, and that is nothing against any members of the Legion. It has more to do with when you do this kind of thing regularly, there are vocal habits that you pick up. You learn very quickly how to present yourself consistently, and how to make sure that you are providing entertaining commentary and conversation with the other person you're doing a collaboration with. And I think when you try and bring someone who maybe doesn't have as much experience with YouTube in, it can be really hit or miss. and it can really divide people on whether or not it's good content. So I have to be careful there. And as far as doing like a subscriber type game where like maybe do a private server of a particular game, or set up some opportunity for you guys to play with me, something like that, just to kind of validate something that I had one of my long time subscribers, been here since pretty much the very beginning, kind of answer this question for me on Steam, saying, you know, he wasn't sure that's something I'd have time for. And that's correct. You have to keep in mind that my YouTube channel is something I do in a fairly limited amount of spare time, to be completely honest. And while I have enjoyed the success of the channel, this is not my full-time job, and my gaming time outside of my channel is actually pretty limited. So my ability to, you know, play games that are not related to the channel is pretty exclusive to my personal time, where I just want to play by myself. If I'm going to play with anyone else, I would probably lean first towards playing with my friends and people that I maybe haven't seen in a while. So I think the subscriber that responded to this question, I think pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's not a bad idea at all, but it's just not something that I think I would be able to fit into the schedule. Kind of similar to streaming. I do surprise streams from time to time when my schedule is very open on YouTube, or maybe even on Twitch one day. For now, they've just been on YouTube, but I don't have a regular streaming schedule because it's just not something that I can realistically commit to for you guys. So I don't like to make commitments that I can't keep, you know, which is why I usually post announcement videos every single time I know that one of the daily time slots is going to be dark for whatever reason. I feel badly that I say there's going to be 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. content. That's a commitment from me. And when it doesn't happen, I'm like, well, okay, here's what's going on. Just want to let you know. Sorry, see you tomorrow, or whenever it is. Or do half scheduled announcements because things are crazy, whatever it might be. So those are my thoughts there. Back to YouTube. Soviet Union of Hedgehogs. Do you believe that people should leave the capitalist West behind and join our communist brothers in the East? No. Shogun Glenn asks, first, and will you play Tiger Knight Empire War or Oriental Empires? I think I would like to check out those games at some point. I might do a mini-series of Oriental Empires. I don't know that I haven't actually played it, so I don't know too much about it. But it's definitely something I'd keep my mind open to. Starkiller's Cat asks, how to make a Civ 6 early game interesting to watch? The thing with Civ 6 is that, narratively speaking, it is much simpler than, say, a Stellaris, much simpler than a Europa Universalis 4, and insanely less complicated than a Crusader Kings 2. And so what you have to do is you kind of have to at least make an effort to fill in the gaps with some description of what's going on yourself. So, what year is it? What does the geography look like? What's the terrain look like? What are the names of the continents? What are the names of the cities, for that matter? Are you going to change the names of your cities? What's the story happening, right? I think that's how you make a Civ 6 early game interesting to watch. Drewsnick asked, what is your favorite animal and why? I knew this question would come up. It's just the generic ask me anything question, right? What's your favorite animal? What is my favorite animal? Huh. Because, I mean, I could take this from a couple of different directions. I could just think in terms of what's my favorite animal out in nature and why, or I could think in terms of like what's my favorite type of pet. And you know something? I think I'm gonna lean towards the pet route because I miss my cat. Well, it's actually not my cat. My cat's been gone for a while, but my girlfriend's cat. I've always been a cat person and a dog person. I get along well with dogs and cats, as long as they're friendly animals, but I enjoy them immensely. But cats, of course, being low maintenance and generally a little bit calmer than dogs. Not saying that cats are always calm, especially when they're kittens, but I think I'm going to go with cats as an answer to your question. I hope that's not too unsatisfactory of an answer. You did ask animal, and I kind of went with the pet route, but that's what I'm thinking right now. So, Will Denazy asks, have you heard of the game Chronicles of Illyria? If yes, will you be playing it when it comes out? I did look at this when you told me about it because I hadn't heard of it. And then I looked it up and I realized that I had heard of it. I just hadn't seen the name. But this is an MMO that has permadeath. And not only permadeath, but your characters age as you play. It's insane. And it's really, really cool stuff. Unfortunately, if you're asking me if I'm just going to be playing it, I mean, I think that sounds like it's something I would at least like to check out, but I don't... This is just me speaking the truth here. I don't have really room in my life for MMOs anymore. I did when I was much younger. I played World of Warcraft, but anytime I see a game that is an MMO, those games are designed to hook into you, to establish an intravenous link into your soul, and to suck the life out of it slowly but surely. The games are literally designed to addict you, as a lot of games are, but particularly MMOs. So that's not me bashing MMOs. I'm just saying I don't have room or time, and it's also kind of risky for me to kind of commit to a game that big. So I don't think I'll be playing it, and certainly not for the channel. I don't think it fits the channel's motif, so to speak. But yeah, it's a good suggestion. The game looks amazing and people should check it out, but I don't think I'll be playing it. So Diplo Focus asked me, for the survival content, will you be revisiting Subnautica at any point? Hell yes. Also, have you considered Stranded Deep? I think your approach commentary would suit it well. I have considered it. I still don't own it. I probably need to change that. But from what I've seen of Stranded Deep, there have just been some mixed reviews over the past 12 months or so while I've been kind of keeping my eye on it, on whether or not it's, you know, something that is doing well. And hopefully that will turn around and the game will come out and maybe I can play it on the channel and things will be great. But I haven't seen enough to really compel me to pick it up and play it the same way as something like The Long Dark or Subnautica once compelled me to pick those up and play those. So, and by the way, there's also a new game out, I think since you asked this question, called Raft, that also features sharks, and it's a survival-based game. It's obviously a bit more, a bit sillier because you can build these giant loft rafts that just sit on top of the water perfectly, like you have, you know, 100% perfect flotation. It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, that's kind of similar to Stranded Deep, and a lot of YouTubers have been playing that, but I haven't gotten into those just yet. I think I'm going to stick to Subnautica and the Long Dark type content. Inga Adams asked me, will you do any of the other Long Dark challenges and attempt summoning Timberwolf Mountain? Yes, I would love to attempt summoning Timberwolf Mountain in a future season of Against All Odds. I also would like to do maybe Hopeless Rescue in a challenge at some point. That doesn't sound like a bad idea, actually. Maybe for a mini-series. That would be fun. Andre Calvo said, please start another Master of Orion series. Not really a question, but I just want to acknowledge, you know, I just want to say for the record, I have played Master of Orion more than any other game on my channel. Look at the series counts and you'll see it. There is more Master of Orion content. I'm not saying more episodes, but there are more series of Master of Orion than anything else that I've played. So I am by no means saying that I'm done with Master of Orion, but understand that from a content creation perspective, when I'm thinking about what new games I want to play, Master of Orion isn't necessarily at the top of lists usually. I have to make my way down a list a little bit past some other things that maybe I decide aren't viable before I get to the possibility of doing more Master of Orion. And I think that's with good reason. So just to jump ship again and go back to another medium, on Reddit, Callous One posted, "Hi Hadrian." Hey Callous One, how's it going? So I was curious for your advice to people looking into making YouTube gaming videos and anything you might suggest to keep in mind if considering doing so. Wow. Now this one, I confess, I don't have what I wrote down in front of me, but earlier when I was considering this question, I definitely wrote a few things down just to think about it, because this is a more complicated question than any of the others that have been asked, and I want to do it justice. So I have a couple of pieces of advice for you. First of all, take it seriously. Okay, understand that even if you're just doing this for a hobby, there are a ton of people in this space, and if you show up on YouTube not trying to make good content and not trying to build a decent channel for your subscribers, people will notice and they won't subscribe to you. I'm not saying that you have to be serious in the way you present yourself. You could be super silly and be very successful. That's true of some of the biggest YouTubers in the world that have been around for years. It's true of people and friends of mine that I know right now that have had their channels explode just over the past couple of months, and I mean in a good way. So I'm not saying you have to be serious on the channel, but understand that it is more than just playing games for people to watch. And especially if you're going to monetize your videos, maybe make a little money on the side, it's much more than that. And if you don't put the effort in from the beginning, people notice. So the first thing is just make sure you kind of have an idea, at the very least, what you're getting into. The second thing that I would recommend to you when you're starting a channel is have a model. Have a successful channel that you're going to take some elements from, not steal, but respectfully imitate, maybe slightly change some things to where you start forming your own identity. And then as you develop your own habits and do your own videos, you'll find yourself moving away from whatever template you started with and moving towards something that is more exclusively you. But starting with a model that has been successful in the past, it just helps ensure that you have a better chance of starting up a channel yourself. Another thing that you have to remember is you do want to have fun with this, and you want to appreciate every subscriber that comes to you. What I mean by that is that, especially when your channel is brand new, you will get one subscriber, or you'll get that first comment, and it's just so amazing that someone would actually click that button for you and say to you, essentially, hey, I want to see your content regularly. It's the best feeling ever, the first time you see your subscriber count tick up. Organically, not because you got anyone to subscribe to you, not because you went to your mom and said, hey, will you subscribe to my channel so I have more subscribers. The first time you see someone just join your channel randomly because they happen to find your video and they want to watch you, it's an amazing feeling. And you want to appreciate that feeling. But at the same time, don't get too attached, because the bigger your channel gets, you got to understand you're going to lose subscribers every day. You're going to see that number go down every day. Now, hopefully it's going to go up more than it goes down every day. That's what a growing channel means. But you're always going to see some numbers in the subscribers lost column the bigger your channel gets. I no longer have days really, or I should say at this point in my channel's life, I very rarely have days where I don't lose one or more subscribers. I'm starting to get to points where I lose 5 to 10 subscribers a day as the usual, like as the normal amount. 5 or 10 people. I mean, when you start out a channel, you're thrilled to have 5 or 10 join over the course of a month. But I've gotten to a point where I lose that many in a day, just on a whim. And the thing is, you don't even know why. YouTube doesn't have a feedback system implemented that shows you why those people left. They can't give you feedback on their way out. I really think YouTube should, but that doesn't exist. So you don't know why. So the point is, don't get too attached. Do appreciate the feeling. Appreciate every subscriber. Try not to lose that feeling of loving seeing the subscriber ticker goes up. You should still, ideally, you should still feel that way if you have 100 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers. When that number goes up, you should appreciate that one person. And now, beyond this, all I really have to say is just do a good job. Like I said, take it seriously. Do a good job. Make quality content and be a quality person. Because at the end of the day, people aren't coming for the games or whatever you're going to do in your channel. They're coming for you. You really want to, and I know I'm laying a lot of very serious advice. There's a point to that. If you approach YouTube too casually, you won't succeed. You do have to take it seriously, and you have to work at it. You have to work hard. So if it's something that you enjoy doing, you can make a hobby of it like I did, or you can make it a full-time thing if you're brave enough and you feel like you can pull it off. But just understand that it's not going to be easy. And that's okay if it's something you're going to enjoy doing, but it's not going to be easy, right? That's true of anything that you really enjoy doing in life. If it's work and if it's something you can earn a living from, it's going to be hard, but if you love it, it's okay. So that's my advice. I hope that's helpful. If you have any other questions about that, feel free to let me know in a comment. Now, to finish off, I'm actually going to let the person who started off this AMA, whose question I read first, I'm going to let that person bookend. They asked a second question more recently, and I asked them to submit it to the AMA. Did the Discord server ever take off, or is that still a work in progress? If it isn't a thing yet, I could spend a bit of time setting one up if you think that would be useful. Thanks for that, by the way, Nick. I do appreciate it. We talked about it before, but I wanted to say again, thanks for offering that. A couple of things. Discord, for those of you who don't know, is a new and rapidly growing voice chat platform. It's just ways for our community. It's another social media platform, in addition to Twitter, in addition to Reddit, in addition to Steam. The difference is it's voice chat. And I am still thinking about whether or not I want to do Discord. I feel like I'm being pulled in that direction because I think people would want it, and I think just by virtue of answering this question right now and talking about it, the pull is going to get stronger. But I have some legitimate concerns with the differences between moderating a voice chat server and moderating a YouTube comment section. Everybody knows my comments policy, okay? I have a zero tolerance policy for shenanigans and for incivility. Civility is expected, is my motto. If you show me that you can't treat me with respect or my subscribers with respect, you're done. And it's very easy to implement that kind of a policy with the tools I have at my disposal right now. I'm not saying it's not easy on Discord. I'm just saying it's different. And I haven't quite reached a level of comfort with that difference. So I'm not rushing it, if that makes sense. And believe me, I will post a massive announcement if a Discord server launches. And just to address what Nick also said in this post, when it comes to you guys setting up your own servers or like fan channels, I will never have an issue with anybody, you know, setting up like a Discord server or a Steam group or a subreddit, you know, whatever it is, whatever you want to do as someone who follows the channel, to kind of start your own kind of like fan community, if you want to do that. That's not an issue I have. Just all I ask is that you make very clear that it's the unofficial community, right? Because I have gone to great lengths to set up a community myself, so I just want people to be able to tell the difference very clearly. And I will never have a problem with people who do that. And who do that in that way. The only people I have a problem with is people who try to pass off their group or their server as an official Hadrian thing, because I run the official Hadrian stuff. So if someone goes into a server, I don't have to explain. You know what I'm saying. It's just important that that line be drawn in the sand, and I'm trying to be as polite as I can about it, but at the same time, I obviously have to be very firm about it. And Nick knows this from experience because we had an exchange on Twitter where I was very firm. So that's kind of where I am on Discord right now. And again, I'll let you guys know if anything changes. All right, so now that I've taken care of the AMA, let me move on to a state of the channel discussion. And this is just this is going to be short and sweet, I think, because I don't have a whole lot to say. Things are going so well right now. I'm so thrilled. I kind of just want to sit back and enjoy the ride, being completely honest. Roma Galactica is surging as we speak. Alexander is also surging, not to the extent Roma Galactica is, but you're going to see both of those series arrive in the top videos in the history of the channel in the next couple of days. Roma Galactica has already arrived today. After just a few days of being out, it's already in contention to be one of the best series that I've done, which is just... And I'm not saying best in terms of quality, I'm talking about performance. I'm so thrilled with how things have been going on the channel lately, and I'm so thrilled to have all the new people. I do want to say a few things, though, about how I want to structure the channel content going forward. Let me actually pull the schedule back up so you can see what I'm talking about. You might notice that there's a new time slot here. There's actually 5 rows now, and I've decided to go ahead and designate one more wildcard slot. Now, my dedicated slots are still just the 2, but for days where I really want to make sure that there is a time slot and a spot that I can plug content in for any reason. If there's a game that comes out and I've already got the schedule full, if there's a mini-series going here and a mini-series going there, I would like the opportunity to have just one more time slot, especially when it comes to co-op series like the stuff I do with Mal. I would love to, I would just wanted to add a little bit more flexibility. And on that note, that is the spirit in which I want to kind of discuss the state of the channel in terms of flexibility. There are some things you guys are going to see from me going forward that's been a little bit different from the way I've done things in the past. It's not going to be a huge change. The main pillars are still going to remain as they very much have been. We're still going to have 12 and 6 p.m. content, and we're still going to have episodes change every 20 days. We're still going to occasionally go to half schedule when my life gets really crazy. But one thing I talked about earlier is that we are doing every other day for miniseries now, and there's a method to that madness. It takes a little bit of pressure off me to record 5 episodes at a time, which is what I usually do for a miniseries, because miniseries, let's face it, These are not the bread and butter of the channel. The bread and butter are the 12 p.m. and the 6 p.m. slot. Miniseries are when a new game has just come out, a new expansion has just been announced, and I want to put out some content right then to help bring new people into the channel because they saw my new video that came out on the same day as the new thing was announced, and that's how you grow a YouTube channel. And it doesn't matter as much that the content is daily at that point. So you're going to see miniseries be every other day. That's one thing that I want to change in terms of flexibility. But another really big thing that you've also already seen recently, and I've talked about in this video, another really big thing is that you're actually going to see me just straight up change what's in a time slot because I want to. Okay? So let's say that a new Civ gets announced. Let's say a month from now, okay? And I'm in the middle of trying to finish Russian Sunrise, which is the first Civ 6 series I did. Let's say I've gone back to that because there's no other Civ series that I have going. So the point is, there's not as much interest necessarily in that series as there might be in a series in the new Civ. Maybe Russian Sunrise is on episode like 33 or something. So you might normally expect me to go to 40 before I change it. I actually would like to start being more flexible in that way. If something really big comes out and I want to go ahead and, kind of like I did with the beginning of Alexander, if I want to plug a new series straight into the 12 p.m. or 6 p.m. slot in the middle of a currently running series, I might do that going forward because it would just match everyone's interests a little bit better and also help to make sure that we are running relevant content on the channel, the stuff that people are most excited about. So every now and then, you know, you're going to see me be a little bit more flexible in that way. You're going to see me change what's in a time slot on a whim because it would be better for the channel to be running a more up-to-date series. Not that I'm just going to stop playing series at any given point. I will always return to series that I cut off, whether I cut it off at the natural 20 episode point or cut it off unexpectedly because of new content. I'm always going to come back to stuff unless something gets outdated or there's some other, you know, really good reason. But in general, you're going to see me be more flexible in that regard. And that's it, I think, for the state of the channel. Things are just going so well, and I'm enjoying it. I just want to sit back and enjoy the company of the new subscribers and see how far Roma Galactica can go before it peaks. It'll be a fun time. So, all that being said, that's normally where I would end the look ahead. And this is a long one, I know. They always end up being longer than I want them to be. But I do have to now talk on a more personal level about some of the stuff that's been going on for the past couple of months. First of all, before I get to the really heavy stuff, I'm moving. I am moving in May, and those of you who've been following the channel for a long time, I'm not leaving the city I live in, but those of you who've been following the channel for a long time know that I have had a lot of noise issues here. During the summer, the AC units outside are old and crappy, and they make very loud, high-pitched noises that are very difficult to filter. And because they make high-pitched noises, when I filter that out, I can filter it out, but it changes the tone of my voice in my recording. So that's a bad thing. And also, there are issues with the pool during the summer as well. I live right next to the pool, so I can't record during the day in the summer because people are running around screaming and jumping in the pool and just enjoying themselves. So I'm moving to a new place. It's not going to be free of noise, but it's going to be a better situation, a better apartment, and I'm really excited about it. So I will keep you guys in the loop on that as much as I can. I may also potentially be getting some new audio equipment. It's one of the reasons I so appreciate my Patreon supporters as much as I do, because their contributions are helping to make that possible. But that will help me ensure that noise is not an issue in the new place either, if I have a better microphone, for instance. And I mean, heck, I am pretty happy with my audio quality, but anything I can do to step up to yet another, to an even higher level of vocal fidelity, because I think I'm at a point where most people would be like, oh dude, your audio sounds great. But believe it or not, it can be made to sound better, and it can be made to record more efficiently and effectively. So that's something that I might pursue as well. But I am moving. That's going to be really, really exciting. And again, that's happening in May. So the channel might have to go to half schedule during that time, in about a month's time. But the great thing about the move is that I actually have a couple of weeks overlap, just the way that it panned out with my two places. So I will have time to move. It's going to be expensive, but it'll be worth it. So there's that. I don't know how to say this. In February, first week or so, the end of the first week, Monday, and I think the second Monday of February, one of my colleagues in the class below me did not come to school one day. He did not submit his homework that was due for class that day. It was very unusual. And no one had heard from him. And when folks went to check on him, and by folks I mean members of his class, one of which was my girlfriend, they found that his car was still at his apartment and his door was locked. And he wasn't answering phone calls. He hadn't been all day. And long story short, after a very painful evening of waiting and angst and police and medical personnel and all these things, we learned that this person had committed suicide. Now, I did not know this person very well, but he was very well regarded by many people that I regard well. He was very well regarded by my girlfriend. They were very good friends. They did a lot of outdoor activities together. I'm not the most outdoorsy, active person at this point in my life. I don't handle stress by going outside, if you can't tell. So they had a fantastic friendship that meant a lot to both of them. And that added another layer of it as well, because she was devastated and I had to support her in her time of anguish. And it was heartbreaking. It was very unexpected and challenging, because I want you to understand, this was a person who had everything going for him. This was a person who just lit up the world. He lit up the world. And he lit up the lives of the people that he knew. I went to his family service, and we also held something here. His family came down to meet his colleagues. And it was wonderful, because we told stories and celebrated his life. It was painful, but it was wonderful. So that's why the February AMA and Look Ahead didn't happen. And that's why I've been going to half schedule more than usual over the past couple of months, because I had something really throw me off, and it's made my work pile up, because my entire schedule for what I was going to do on a daily basis, or what I was going to at least try to do on a daily basis to stay on top of my obligations, got completely thrown off. Not only by just the grief of not being able to work because that had just happened, but also having to travel for these memorials and things. So now I know, by the way, that no one is sitting here going, "Oh, Hadrian, how dare you not post the February AMA?" And I know that everyone's sitting there going, "You don't have to have an excuse, let alone an excuse this good." But there's something else that I want to say, and this is why I wanted to save this till the end. I want to emphasize what I said a moment ago. This guy had everything going for him. He had been through some immense personal pain close to the time of his death. So I'm not saying that he did it for no reason. no one knows why he did it, but we do know that he was struggling. Obviously he was struggling. God, I laughed just because it's so ridiculous. Like, I even laughed at one point. His father during the memorial, I feel guilty about this. His father during the memorial just talked about how it didn't make sense because he had so much going for him. And then he, having heard all the stories, it makes even less sense. And he said it seriously, but he kind of threw his hands up in the air because it was just so heartbreaking. And I kind of chuckled because it was just so morbidly stupid that we lost this person. I chuckled out loud at this memorial service. It was just an automatic response because it's just so ridiculous that this person would leave us in this way. But the reason I wanted to talk to you guys about it is I thought that it was an opportunity not to talk about me or why I didn't do a video or something like that, but it's an opportunity for me to reach out to you guys from this painful personal experience and turn it into something meaningful. I don't know that I'm going to say this the way that I want to, but I'm going to try. And I really want you to listen, especially if you have hidden struggles, because I have hidden struggles that I am working on now in a way that I never did before this happened, because this was a wake-up call for me. But when I say I have hidden struggles, I'm not saying that I am anywhere near the level of this individual in terms of despair. It's fine. But if you have things that you are sad about, or that you wish were different, and you feel trapped and you feel alone, and you feel like nothing can make it better, you're not alone. Whether you're not alone in the sense that someone very close to you is either going through something like that at the same time, or has been through something like that in the past, or would be there for you in a heartbeat if you reached out to them, or whether it's that there are simply people in the world who have been where you've been, or in a similar place. I am a true believer, and I'm not, this is where it's hard, because for someone who's genuinely suffering, the last thing you want is a platitude, right? And I don't want to give you a platitude right now. I don't want to say something just meaningless and positive to say, pep up. You can't just say to a depressed person, cheer up. I'm not doing that now. But it's just so important that you know that you're not alone. So I'm here to tell you, if you're struggling with something that feels hopeless, that feels like the weight of the world is just bearing down on you and there doesn't seem like there's a way that you can escape it, there is always value to be found. There is always value to be found in looking up instead of looking down. One of the things that was so sad about going to this memorial was the feeling that, God, did he know how much we loved him? Did he have any idea? God, you guys, the stories, it was breathtaking how amazing this person was. The stories people told about him. And it made you wish that you could pull him back from the great beyond and sit him down and make him listen. The chances that you person who's listening to me right now, the chances that you have no one in your life, no one at all in your life that cares about you that much as those people telling those stories did. The chances are infinitesimally small. It's more likely you have at least one person. It's more likely you have multiple people who would be so much less without you. And I'm not talking specifically to people who, just for the record, I'm not trying to talk specifically to people who are contemplating doing the worst. I'm just talking about how to remember that you matter. And how to remember that you're loved and that you're important simply by being who you are. You know, starting to sound like freaking Mr. Rogers right now, but I mean it. And that's, I mean, like I said, I didn't script anything here, so I'm sure this has come out in a really weird way. But I really mean it. You're not alone. You're important. Maybe to one, maybe to a few, maybe to many. And when you're struggling and when you start to feel like there's nothing that can be done, just remember those things. Get help if you can. It's definitely what I'm doing right now. Just find people to talk to. And I mean, I am using multiple avenues, by the way. Like, I'm just reaching out to friends more, people I haven't talked to for a while. But I'm also talking to professionals. I've never done that before in my life. But losing this person made me realize, someone this incredible could be this heartbroken inside and no one know it, and could do this and leave his friends and family in this way, then I think I should probably talk to somebody. And I'm just saying that's the decision that I made. I hope that some of what I've said over the past few minutes, if you are one of the people who needed to hear it, has inspired you to think similarly. I hope so. But anyway, thank you for listening. That is, I hate to go out on a somber note, but I did warn everyone in advance, right, that we were going to talk about some heavy stuff at the end. I just really wanted to be honest about that situation. I will go ahead and cut this look ahead here. You guys can expect a much more normal one, and hopefully a shorter one in June. And I look forward to new questions. I look forward to more questions. I might have to start picking questions, because already, honestly, answering that many questions was a lot. And that wasn't that many compared to how many can pop up. So I might have to kind of cherry pick a little bit. I hate to do that. I like the idea of answering everyone's questions, right? But this was a good start, and I appreciate everyone who did ask questions. Thank you for that, for participating in the look ahead. I'm sorry it took me so long to answer them, but now you know a little bit more about why. And again, I know you guys didn't mind, and I appreciate that. But on that note, I, again, will go ahead and stop this one here. Thanks so much for watching. Leave your comments down below. You know they're always welcome. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time.